Welcome to First. I'm Nichelle Poston along with Mark Eichman. Shirley Min is off this week. There have been many approaches to ending the cycle of violence in Wilmington. This week we look in on the makeout mob.
When we view something that's funny, does that impact our opinion on a subject? A UD professor talks about how The Daily Show and other comedy programs impact our view of the political scene.
Dover is looking for a way to take some state money and use it to recreate its downtown. It could be a model for other Delaware towns as well.
First, your public media news magazine starts now.
Wilmington City Council has set nearly $600,000 aside for police, cameras, and other public safety items in its budget to target the violence here in Wilmington. But there's nothing like a grassroots cause to combat crime in the city. In this week's First Look, you'll see a number of people getting together to try to wash away some of the city's negative image and the brand of being called Murder Town, USA through a unique group called the Makeout Mob.
We're trying to bring attention to the positive aspects of the city.
And what's more positive than good music and showing each other love? Whether it's with a hug or a friendly kiss, well, not that friendly.
It's about peace, love, unity, anti-violence, and just pretty much, just trying to change things up a little bit, add some flavor to the town, and hopefully, bring people together.
David Sanchez is among a group of local business owners and activists determined to change Wilmington's negative image by rebranding it with a little help, of course, from these guys, the Makeout Mob. For Sanchez, the city's violence hits too close to home.
I work downtown, so I see a lot of this stuff. I own a t-shirt shop, and we do a lot of rest in peace shirts for people. I meet the families and the friends of these people that unfortunately get shot, and we end up doing shirts for them. And I see that. I talk to the families firsthand. I hear the stories and, I see lots of tears.
To date, there have been more than 30 shooting incidents and nearly a dozen homicides in the city. Mayor Dennis Williams recently said there are enough plans in place tackling the violence, so now some of the downtown business community is doing its part.
I grew up in Delaware, in Newcastle and Wilmington area, and I've moved away, I've come back, moved away again, came back. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Wilmington. I think Wilmington needs people that are willing to, make sacrifices and do just different things, just to add to the culture and community and just change some stuff up here and there.
The Makeout Mob was formed to encourage local residents to promote a positive city environment. The very mixed crowd included both corporate and urban people, but how effective can the Makeout Mob be in firing back at some of the negativity?
As somebody who's lived in the city for 3 years now and worked in the city for 5, I used to be one of those commuters that would come from Philly and then leave as soon as the workday was over and leave Wilmington and not spend my money here. And I realized that was the major hurdle that I had to get over.
The goal is for more people to do the same and not let violence in small pockets of the city keep people from exploring what downtown has to offer.
We're here at the park specifically to show how people really have to make the city something important. And a city is not its walls, it's its people. People are the ones who make all the difference. So, we're tired of seeing desolate streets after 6 p.m. We wanted people to come out and really occupy, our beautiful park with something really positive.
As far as the Makeout Mob, the concept certainly caught the attention of city resident Franco Thomas.
Anything that's about promoting positivity in the great city of Wilmington, I'm loving it because, I just love everything that's going on out here. We're going to continue to move forward and progress.
And so Thomas has a strong message for those who tend to stay clear of Wilmington.
If you've never been a part of this Wilmington experience, you come on down and take in some of the flavor, take in some of the people, take in some of the culture, and just realize that Wilmington isn't all bad. It's a great city to be. Matter of fact, as they say, it's a place to be somebody.
The Makeout Mob plans to host more events to promote peace and love in the near future, so stay tuned and we'll keep you informed. The issue of violence has certainly been the subject of Delaware Today magazine for 2 months. Writer Mark Nardone has been following it and joins me as part of our Content Partner Series. Thanks so much, Mark, for joining us. So really quick, you witnessed a different approach to curbing violence here in Wilmington, mostly from a group labeled as old heads. Who are they?
They are guys who have been there and done that. They were guys who were formerly involved on the street. They got in trouble. They've paid the price. And they're good guys who are just trying to stop younger people from doing the wrong things.
So are they really able to make a difference since they can speak from experience?
I think they are. I think young guys who want to make a reputation on the street look up to them, so they have some influence over discouraging them. And I think for people of their own age who have lost sons and other loved ones to street violence, they're there to console them. They understand how they feel they've also lost loved ones to street violence.
Sort of reminds me of the organization, the Hope Commission. They're pretty much in, you mentioned them in your story, and they're pretty much into the same thing.
Yes, it's men who have been in the situation helping other men who are trying to get back on their feet.
Okay. You followed this story or followed the issue of violence for some time now. We run into each other often on different stories. Is there anything that you feel our viewers need to know to understand the violence here in Wilmington?
I think some people have the idea that Wilmington is a violent city. It is not. I mean, Wilmington is a great city. You know, the violence happens in very particular neighborhoods. Most people are not at risk. You know, it shouldn't discourage anyone from coming here. So
the idea about, I guess, the Makeout Mob, would you consider that a good approach as well?
Yeah. I think I give Mesa all the credit in the world for coming up with that. That's a great, fun approach.
Yeah, make love, not war.
Exactly.
A good way. Okay, well, thanks so much, Mark.
Thanks,
for those of you at home, you can read more about Mark Nardone's story on Wilmington's violence issue in the June issue of Delaware Today magazine, or go to DelawareToday.com. Delaware Today is a content partner with First.
Coming up on First, redevelopment in downtown Dover may just become the blueprint for other cities and towns across the state. And food trucks have come to Delaware. We introduce you to the Rolling Revolution. It's our first experience this week. The late-night comedy landscape is changing, most recently with David Letterman hosting his final show. But the way we laugh at some of the issues presented on late-night TV may be changing as well. Joining us for First Person is Danagel Young, Associate Professor of Communication at the University of Delaware. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Other than Vice President Joe Biden, Delaware leaders rarely get on late-night TV, but way back in 2009, then Congressman Mike Castle was featured on The Colbert Report. Take a look.
Switching gears, what about guns? I think there should be some gun control. I think Congress shall make no law, sir. People who have criminal backgrounds or mental illness backgrounds should not be able to acquire guns.
Crazy people are still Americans.
They may be Americans.
So they have rights. They have all the rights of other Americans.
But they should not necessarily have guns in that circumstance.
But that's infringing. Are you by any chance rethinking this interview?
I am, yeah, every now and then I
a couple times?
Every now and then I rethink the interview for sure.
All right. Congressman, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Let's put Delaware on the big board. So there we have Stephen Colbert and Mike Castle. Mike Castle, the good sport in that. So Professor Young, how is late night comedy affecting our politics? Is the impact changing?
I would argue that the effects of political satire are usually pretty consistent. What we do see now in the environment we're in now is more rebroadcasting of clips, sharing of clips, more exposure to clips through social media, through news, actually rebroadcasting segments from the shows. So it's not just a one-time dose that people get when they watch the show. The technological environment has made it so that you can get exposure through all different platforms.
Is it different because, you know, Saturday Night Live has always done political humor, but now it's more anchor at a desk delivering newsy, kind of news in a funny way, and using that as comedy. Does that sort of change the way it's perceived because it's somebody sitting at an official desk rather than a stand-up?
Yeah, more than anything, the reason that genre has been popularized, of the person behind the desk, is because I do think that there is a frustration, especially among younger audiences, with the traditional news format, the genre, and some of the norms that accompany that kind of news. Like, it's very dramatized, it's very sensationalized, and I think that they're tapping into a thirst for something different.
We've seen, I guess, some research that a lot of where young people are getting new, they're not sitting down and watching Brian Williams or whoever it might be at 6 o'clock. They're getting their news from a Jon Stewart, from a Stephen Colbert, from a John Oliver.
Interestingly, you're right in the fact that young people are not watching the network news shows. That just is not a staple of a young millennial diet. However, those people who watch John Oliver, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, even the network late night shows, those young people or those viewers are actually more likely to be consuming other kinds of news. So we try to be careful about saying they're not getting their information from the news anymore. Really, late night comedy is a nice supplement because, especially for Stewart and Colbert and Oliver, you would not understand their content if you didn't come to those programs already informed
with
about
some context.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so the viewers of those shows, interestingly, they are NPR listeners, they are people who watch cable news programs, and they get a lot of information online.
You mentioned the sort of informed presentation of somebody like, say a John Oliver, and we have a clip from Jon Stewart's protege, John Oliver, and his HBO. Let's take a look at Last Week Tonight.
Is it any wonder that American students are sick of tests?
Teachers have reported kids throwing up, and it's the pressure.
That's true. In fact, this happens so much that official instructions for test administrators specify what to do if a student vomits on his or her test booklet. And something is wrong with our system when we just assume a certain number of kids will vomit. Tests are supposed to be assessments of skills, not a rap battle on 8 Mile Road. Oh, Eminem, why did your mom make you spaghetti? She knew tonight was rap battle night.
I actually am fascinated by what John Oliver is doing right now. And when people lament the departure of Letterman and the movement of Colbert and the departure of Stewart, I point to John Oliver as a potential model for where things are headed. Because what he's actually doing, if you notice, he's not taking the top headlines of the day and making a funny twist on it. Right. He's actually introducing original investigative content that is done using his staff of researchers, journalists, wonky folks who actually provide originally sourced information, primary source information, to expose and highlight, you know, hypocrisies or other kinds of controversies that people really generally haven't heard about.
And so you think, as we wrap up here, the future is sort of more in that direction, more of that kind of informed comedy?
Absolutely, because I think that people are realizing that there is something really nuanced and interesting about providing new information in a humorous, satirical way, and it can really expose or illuminate issues that people otherwise haven't thought about.
All right, and we will be watching. Dana Young is an associate professor of communication at the University of Delaware. Thanks very much for joining us on First.
Thank you so much.
Could downtown Dover be an attraction point to developers and new businesses? Well, that's certainly the goal, thanks to a portion of it that was designated a downtown development district. It's a real turning point for the state's capital that has struggled in its downtown area. This week, we speak to officials who tell us why this time is different.
I feel like we're just at a turning point. The stars are aligned in a way that they have never been before.
This is just a glimpse of what Dover officials are looking to revitalize in its downtown area. Roughly 220 acres of land will get a new look thanks to Dover being designated a downtown development district, a program that will also help fill more than 24 empty properties and spaces.
There are tenant spaces for purchase available. There are vacant lots available. And then when you get into the neighborhoods, there are a lot of vacant lots. So the opportunity to come in and build something great to bring more people into the downtown is better than it has ever been.
This vacant lot on Governor's Avenue is another example of what the city planner hopes to develop, and here's a closer look.
This is the 120 South Governor's Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Okay,
so, so this is the area, again, this spans both sides of the street. So the idea is to have a really quality plan that has buildings that come to both sides of the street.
According to Dover Mayor Robin Christensen, focusing on downtown areas is the thing to do nowadays.
The trend all across the country at this point in time in our history, it was at one time to move away from downtown. The trend now is for the Generation Xers is to move back downtown because that's where they want to be.
Under the Downtown Development District program, Dover property owners could be eligible for a variety of incentives, grants, and tax breaks from the state, Kent County, and City of Dover, as well as others who dare to set up shop downtown.
Short-term success, I see 4 or 5 projects being completed over the next 18 months.
Right now, foot traffic in the downtown area appears to be steady during the work week, but mostly around lunchtime. Officials say it starts to taper off the further west you get.
So part of the plan and goal is to move that momentum to bring more people to the businesses on the west side, but also to expand the times that people are spending downtown.
Home ownership is also important, especially since the downtown area has an 84% rental rate.
The home ownership adds stability to a neighborhood because you have people, who have the long-term stake in the property that help to maintain, the character of the area, maintain their properties.
One area in particular isn't too far from the railroad tracks.
So this area here, it is a neighborhood, there is housing, but in this area it's really deteriorated over the years. So we want to see opportunities to kind of inject resources into the area and improve the housing.
It's too early to name what developers are willing to make their way to Dover, but officials say people are showing an interest in investing, and they're both locals and outsiders.
We're seeing both. We are seeing developers have some interests that are not from Dover. We are seeing local businesses with an interest in expanding or perhaps opening a new location.
Although work to change the face of Dover's downtown district is still in the beginning stages, the project will not forget about existing businesses. In fact, Mayor Christensen named a few community staples that will give this project an advantage.
We have some great anchors. We have the legislative end down here where we have a captive workforce all day long. We have the Schwartz Center. We have the Duncan Center at the other end. We have a great library here. So we have quite a few things that we're offering now.
Wilmington and Seaford are also a part of the program. Dover, along with those two cities, are expected to receive anywhere from $1.7 to $2.3 million to strengthen their downtown districts. Dover has been using some of its money to hire more police and to install security cameras downtown.
Check us out at WHYY.org/first. You can find this show and all our shows right there. Watch them when you want, and if you have an extra 30 minutes, check out our 2 First Extra specials, 100 Mile Monument and Delaware. In early May, the 2015 Ellis Island Medal Honors were presented. On that list of honorees was DuPont executive Juan Carlos Cruz. It's another honor for a man who never believed his life would turn out the way it has. Cruz was the whistleblower in the Chilean Catholic Church sex scandal. It's a story he never believed he'd be able to tell. This is the El Bosque Parish in Chile, a place Juan Carlos Cruz attended seminary to become a priest, until he started to be abused at the hands of highly respected priest Father Fernando Caradima. It all started for Cruz after the death of his father.
From the minute he talked to me, he told me, Juan Carlos, you are blessed the Lord has done something great with you. He has brought you to me. I'm going to be your father. I'm going to replace your father. So I was going to confession, and suddenly he started touching me, and all went downhill from there. I was paralyzed. Shame to say that it went on for 8 years, and it produces me a lot of shame and embarrassment.
Once Cruz finally escaped Karadima and the church, he tried to tuck away his pain and move on with life.
For some people it works, for others it just eats you up. And so I've had friends that have died, have committed suicide. And for me, that's I think what made me come out and speak out about this.
Cruz joined 2 other victims to publicly accuse Karadima of abuse and other church leaders of covering it up. A criminal investigation confirmed their accusations, but the statute of limitations had expired. Now, a civil lawsuit against the Archdiocese starts in March. The Vatican has sentenced Karadima to a life of prayer and penitence, which Cruz says is not a just punishment.
He's living in a convent. We say he's like an all-inclusive because he's being treated really well. He's not in the parish, or he cannot have contact with people, so that's a big triumph. But he never paid really for what he had done.
Cruz has received lots of support in Chile, even from Chilean President Michelle Bachelet, who connected with Cruz during a January visit to the port of Wilmington.
As soon as she arrived in the port of Wilmington and she came, there was a lot of people, and she came to see some workers that were Chilean workers, and I was standing with them. And then she said hello to them in Spanish, and then she saw me and she said, "Juan Carlos, I can't believe it." And she gave me a big hug and a kiss. It really means a lot because, wow, how the tides have turned, when we were these scared men talking about sexual abuse, and now we can help others by speaking out.
He's also written a book about his experience and started a foundation to help other victims.
And I know too many people who have died not trying. And it breaks my heart. And it makes me cry every time I think of them, because some were my friends. And, I don't want anybody to have to go through that.
The story of priest abuse in Chile is now being made into a film. You saw some of the scenes there in the beginning of our piece. Cruz's book is now in its 3rd printing in Spanish and soon will be published in English.
Are you hungry? You will be after our next story. Food trucks have come to Delaware, from fish tacos, barbecue, coffee, and everything in between. The Rolling Revolution is ready to introduce you to street food in Delaware. It's the first experience that will leave you wanting seconds.
Rolling Revolution came together to create a culture and advocate to change the laws that will allow mobile food and vending businesses to be able to do business in Delaware.
I was looking for a way to help form everything, so I got all of us together one night, local trucks and trucks that are looking to start, and we put together, it was first called the Delaware Food Truck and Mobile Vending Services. So we're like, that didn't work. It's kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We just go by S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
This is way better quality, way more selection than you can find on the streets in, say, New York, which is where I would normally see food trucks.
It is incredibly fun to roll up, to go to different places, different events, see different people. The brick and mortar is your one location and people have got to find you. We get to find the people.
the excitement of just being able to meet and interacting with them and growing a relationship with them. That's one of the pleasures I have, and that's why a lot of people come to our truck. And we just want customers to say, wow, there's more than just Irish pubs, chain restaurants, and fried food around this area. You can actually get really good food from these guys.
We got a little bit of everything, snow cones, fries, everything was excellent, very good.
It's awesome. It's bean and corn and rice, and it's great. And the fried tortilla, delicious. I got the crab and asparagus, and it's an over easy egg on top of crostini. It's messy and it's amazing.
People are just amazed and drawn into this experience. It creates community. So it's more than just the food.
We're trying to keep it a really nice elite group of trucks. So when you call to get a truck for your event, you know what you're getting. You're getting people that are on time, that are actual business, great business owners, and just love doing this. I like to say we're like Voltron, because each of us bring a piece of the puzzle. We all work together because at the end, we all want to have a successful business. It's almost like a family almost now. It's really awesome. I love when I can give somebody some kimchi tacos. They're like, I never had this ever. And it just puts a smile on my face. And I'm just like, my heart and myself is on that dish, you know? And it's just a great feeling being a chef.
To create this incredible experience, that's a dream come true.
The Rolling Revolution's first event was outside the Delaware Center for Contemporary Arts in Wilmington as part of Wilmington's First Friday Art Loop. The Rolling Revolution has since been all over Wilmington and Newcastle County at various events. If you're craving more information on the trucks or where they'll be, you can find them at rollingrev.com.
I'm craving some of that food right now. That all looked really good. Next week on First, learn how your lawn can make our drinking water dirty. But fear not, there is a way to change that. It's part of our Clean Water series.
Look for those stories and more on the next First. That is First for this week. We thank you so much for watching. For new mother Shirley Min and Mark Eichman, I'm Nichelle Poston. Have a great week.